And perhaps you saw my video about the golden anniversary of Disney, the 50 Happy Years campaign. And a big part of that, as you know from that video, is this double album set, one of the most elaborate albums ever released by Walt Disney Records, then called Disneyland Records. And one of the most remarkable things about this special album is that it was an anthology of sorts, a collection of Disney songs, and Disney had not done that many albums like that. There was Music Cavalcade, for example, with this really great cover. But aside from that, there hadn't been that many collections of Disney songs before this one in 1973. So in today's video, I thought we would take a look at some of the special Disney collections that have been issued, both before and after this one. And this one is very special, a great favorite of a lot of collectors. This is Walt Disney's Happiest Songs. So what makes this very special is that this was released by Disneyland Records, especially as a premium for Gulf Oil for people that went to their service stations. The reason for this is that this was released in September 1967, and Gulf Oil had just become a primary sponsor of Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color on TV. So they wanted to have a big promotional push. So just as they were starting their sponsorship on television with a lot of advertising, this was going to be available at the service stations. So it only cost $1 when most LPs cost $3 and something in those days. And aside from it costing $1, I think you also had to fill up your tank. But it's noteworthy that this came out in September of 1967 for a few reasons, and we can take a look here on the cover. So what was happening in 1967? Well, in October, The Jungle Book was going to be released. So here we have The Jungle Book really most prominently displayed because Mowgli and Baloo are in the foreground. And then here we have Snow White, and there had just been a reissue of Snow White in the summer of 1967 to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. What was the third big thing happening in 67? Well, the release of Walt Disney's The Happiest Millionaire. Well, that's not really going to be represented here with mostly cartoon characters. I mean, what would they show? Maybe the alligators. They could have maybe put them in the moat or something. But instead, the album's called Happiest Songs. Happiest Millionaire, Happiest Songs, pretty clever. Here on the back, we can really see that this was being marketed to adults after all, because even though the children may pester mom and dad to go to Gulf because it's sponsoring Walt Disney and they want this album, it's of course the adults who are going to be buying it, because that's certainly one thing children can't buy on their own is gasoline. So this back cover has a great sophistication to it, I think, and an emphasis on the stars, which would appeal mostly to adults. Most children wouldn't even know who these people were, right? So it says, great stars singing the best of Walt Disney in this unique collector's album. So really emphasizing that you want to get this, and especially for people who collected albums and had a great hi-fi set, they really would want this. So again, I had mentioned The Jungle Book and The Happiest Millionaire. So here we have Phil Harris, who's the voice of Baloo. He's one of the great stars. And of course, the album includes The Bare Necessities, the big hit from The Jungle Book. Disney knew even before the movie was in the theaters that that song was a hit. And we also have Tommy Steele from The Happiest Millionaire singing Fortuosity, certainly one of my favorite songs, probably my favorite Disney song. And then, of course, we see Mary Poppins here. And of course, that hit film, one of the biggest hits of the 1960s, was certainly going to be on here. Only Julie Andrews is included, her Mary Poppins co-star Dick Van Dyke, Cliff Edwards as Jiminy Cricket singing When You Wish Upon a Star. Can't do without When You Wish Upon a Star. Mary Costa, who had become a big opera star since voicing Princess Aurora in Sleeping Beauty in 1959, and she was often a guest on variety shows at the time as well. And we also have Louis Prima He is, of course, the voice of King Louie in The Jungle Book, but a Jungle Book song featuring King Louie is not here. It's because Louis Prima had started recording Disney songs, I think starting with Mary Poppins, and his rendition of Winnie the Pooh is here. Though, of course, all of these songs are child-friendly. There's some really sophisticated renditions, like Mary Martin singing Hi-Ho, and again, Louis Prima on the Winnie the Pooh theme. Now, this album was such a success for Gulf Oil that certainly they wanted to do a follow-up. So in July of 1968, they released a sequel, as it were, Walt Disney's Merriest Songs this time. I think they really wanted to emphasize to people that this was a new album. So when the kids said, hey, let's get that new album, Dad wouldn't say, well, we already got that. It's very clear that this is a different edition. Since it's Merriest Songs, the motif here is a merry-go-round, which is a great way to bring all these characters together. This art is so much fun. It's so different from this one, as I said. This time around, get it? It's a merry-go-round. It's going around. Okay, never mind. But this time, the films being released for 1968 are Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day, introducing Tigger. So he's right there, pretty prominent. And then, believe it or not, a reissue of The Three Little Pigs. So that's important. And then we have Jungle Book very prominently displayed because the Jungle Book had been a smash hit in 1967 going into 1968. And the third big movie really being promoted, especially on records, was the musical, The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band, which as a musical was naturally going to have a big presence on records. Now there really wasn't an easy way to promote that live action musical here with all these animated characters, but what about the Three Little Pigs? And what do they have to do with Family Band? Well, in some markets at least, the Three Little Pigs was shown on the same theater bill as Family Band, so they could represent both themselves and the Family Band. Let's take a look at the back. Again, very different from that first one, which featured Tinkerbell very prominently, and I think that was because, of course, she represented the TV show that Gulf was sponsoring. But this time around, it's a really very sophisticated design without any characters at all. I guess they realized they didn't need characters back here because we have the great stars, and this time around it says great stars sing Disney's merriest songs in an all-new collector's album. There's that word new. So they wanted to make sure people knew this was something else they had to get. Again, your Gulf dealer is happy to make this collector's album available to you. This time they should have said, your Gulf dealer merrily makes this collector's album available to you, maybe to tie in with merriest songs instead of happiest. Oh, well, I don't know. Anyhow, doesn't matter. That's not what it says. Now, as I said, the big promotion was the Family Band film, but none of the stars are here from that movie. But we do have Louis Armstrong. That's a big addition. What a great presence and star to have on a Disney record. Louis Armstrong had just recorded his own album of Disney songs the Satchmo Way. So here he is with a selection from that album. And what song is he singing on this album? 10 Feet Off the Ground by the Sherman Brothers. For which movie? The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band. We also have, of course, by the Sherman Brothers, The Wonderful Thing About Tiggers from Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. So the Shermans are very well represented on this album, which of course is great. One really fun thing for Disney fans is the inclusion of the workshop song, not to be confused with the work song from Cinderella. The work song, workshop song, work song, workshop song, which is which, keep them straight. But how fun to have a Babes in Toyland song, and perhaps they included it on here not just because it is a great song, but this way we get Ed Wynn, who was doing all kinds of Disney movies at the time. That Darn Cat, Those Callaways, but of course he's in Mary Poppins as well, so it's fun to have him included. And that's such a great song, and the recording is really wonderful, perhaps introducing more people to Babes in Toyland as well. Now we'll jump ahead in time to the CD era, And I'm wondering if you can guess what the very first Disney CD released was. I'll tell you about that at the end of the video. But for right now, I have the second and third CD ever released by Disney, which again is a collection of Disney songs. So we have the Disney Collection Volume 1 and the Disney Collection Volume 2. Now, the thing about CDs, I always say, is that they can't really compare in terms of cover art and displayability to LP covers, because these are so much larger and frameable. You can certainly frame these as well, but the impact is not the same. And perhaps that's one reason that they were originally released in long boxes. They took up so much room and used up so much paper and cardboard that that practice was soon abandoned. But for true CD aficionados, the long box is kind of a treat for these early CD releases. It's just too bad I don't have one of the long boxes to show you, say for Volume 1. But wait, I do. Of course, I saved the long box, at least for Volume 1. So here it is. And the long boxes made it easier for the record stores to display them. What's a record store? Some of you are saying. We don't have time to go into that. Just take my word for it. These two volumes of the Disney collection got Disney off with a real bang in the CD market, because here truly are some of the greatest Disney songs, right up through Someone's Waiting for You from the Rescuers, which was 1977. This was released in 1987. Volume 2 includes Lavender Blue from one of my favorites, So Dear to My Heart, right up through Candle on the Water from Pete's Dragon in 1977. And these truly were deluxe releases. But to make it really deluxe, wouldn't it be cool if there were some liner notes? Well, as a matter of fact, there are. Each one of the volumes came with its own booklet with some very informative, I'd like to think, liner notes and some great images, not just stills, but also behind the scenes photos. And if you're wondering who wrote the liner notes, well, as a matter of fact, it was me. So I do hope that these were very informative and people enjoyed finding out behind the scenes stories about the songs that were included. Hopefully that was a great little bonus. Now you'll remember that I said Volume 1 and Volume 2, the Disney collection, were the second and third CDs to be released. Sure enough, CD-002 and CD-003. But what was CD-001? The first CD released was, you guessed it, Fantasia. And could there have really been a better choice as the very first Disney CD? I hope you've enjoyed this brief glimpse into these special albums, and you can look forward to more videos in the future that will deal with Disney recordings and Disney music. But please join us next time when we will debut a cover of the Beatles classic Money, That's What I Want, performed by Uncle Scrooge McDuck, Uncle Bim Gump, Richie Rich, and John Beresford Tipton. See you then.